So we were talking about the ultimate cause and effect relationship in your business and in your life. If your business is not growing as it was or should be, then you need to pay very close attention to a previous video that I've done and also what I'm about to reveal to you now. So if you remember, it all starts with results. Allow that R to represent the results in your business. Now, a thinking person, remember that's a rare individual, as George Bernard Shaw pointed out. 2% of people think, 3% of people think they think, and 95% would rather die than think. Very funny statement until you realize how true it was. In a previous video, we unpacked the cause and effect relationship throughout the creative engine that is causing every result in your life, not just your business. But if you want your business to grow, boy, you've got to understand this, what I'm about to unpack here. So what is the ultimate cause of that effect called results? Because results are effects. Like I said in the previous video, they have ancestry. We established that is your results come from your actions and behaviors. We also established through two very simple circles where here we've got the physical body, the meat suit that you and I rock around this beautiful blue planet on. And this is the line between what is tangible, what we can see, hear, taste, touch and smell, which is pretty much how we've been raised to operate in life. And now the intangible. Be nice if I could speak English, wouldn't it? The intangible part of our personality that calls forth everything in our lives. Do you know most people aren't even aware of that? Most people, you know, they know they have their mind intellectually, but they don't do any work on their mind. They abandoned it when they left school, and school only made the mind operate in a fraction of its capability. They didn't want you thinking critically. Why would they want that? Remember who runs the school system? They're called governments. And the last thing a government wants is a thinking population, a critically thinking a population, because they're not easy to control, just between you and I. Anyway, here's the tangible outcomes, the things we see, hear, taste, touch and smell. We see our results, we feel our results, we all of that, we can see our actions and behaviors, and we certainly see our physical bodies and other people's physical bodies every day. So this is all very self-explanatory. But here's where most people, if they ever think this far, start to get lost and really lose their way in terms of the ultimate cause of the effects known as results. And if you remember, we drew a much bigger circle. I know it's not much of a circle, and I know my art is appalling, but hey, forgive me. We used this circle to represent something that we have no image for. And if you have no image for anything, it creates confusion. You can't really understand it. We have no image of the mind. Most people think the mind's the brain. Well, the brain's no more the mind than my fingernail is, as I said in the previous video. And we discussed how the mind has two fundamental operations. There may be more, but you speak to any psychiatrist, psychologist, anybody that's studied the mind, and I certainly have for 35 years at the time of this recording, you'll know that we have a conscious mind and we have the unconscious. Now, just to talk about, by the way, the power of these parts of your personality, one of the world's most senior biologists, Dr. Bruce Lipton, a man I've had the privilege to work with, estimates that the conscious mind can process at 2 million bits per second, which is very impressive. The unconscious, I seem to recall it was 8 billion bits per second. But just to give you some context to that, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about the fact that you have billions of processes going through your body, taking place in your body as you're listening to my words right here? You're beating your heart, you're digesting your last meal, you're splitting atoms, you are firing synapses. There are billions of processes going on inside your body that you are not doing consciously. It's all happening through this. This part of your personality, the unconscious, is controlling everything that's going on in that meat suit of yours. Now that should give you some idea of the power of it. Now this isn't something separate from you. This is not something, some mysterious force that you are separate from that's doing it all for you. This is part of you. You're just not conscious of it, hence unconscious. Sometimes it's called the subconscious. So, in the last video when I sketched all this out and we talked about the conscious mind being the thinking mind, that's the part of you that you know well. That's where your intellect resides. That's the part of your mind that was exercised very well by academia. The problem with academia is it rewards you for what you know. Life rewards you for what you do. So when you come out of academia, you're equipped to operate in a world that rewards you for what you do, and you've come from a world that operates, that prepares you for being rewarded for what you know. Now, why is that the problem? Well, here's the problem. In business, the performance gap is between what you know and what you do. We've already talked about your business, top, bottom line profits that feed your income, your wealth, your prosperity, your freedom. We know that you're in business for more than just money. It's about liberating your life so you can live with choice, that you can live a fulfilled, meaningful, happy life and bring the quality of life to the people you love most, and most importantly, have the freedom to enjoy it with them. There's no point building that kind of wealth and then being chained to a business that consumes your life so you never see your kids and you never see your wife or your husband or wherever it might be. So, the thinking mind is the conscious mind. And we talked about how the ultimate cause and effect relationship is the fact that your business can never outgrow the quality of thinking you're bringing to it. And we also talked about the ultimate cause of the effects in your life, which was your beliefs sponsoring your thinking. Your beliefs are the architect of all these outcomes, and your beliefs are mostly unconscious to you. The vast majority of these ideas which have conglomerated in your unconscious, you are not consciously aware of. The whole purpose of what creates success in life is not more knowledge. We live in a time in the world at the moment where we are constantly seeking more and more knowledge. We're drowning in information, and yet no one's living the dream, are they? Very few are living the dream, despite all the information and all the knowledge that we can acquire on the web and so forth. No one's living the dream. Why is that? Well, it's because any amount of information here doesn't affect what's going on here. And if it doesn't affect what's going on here, nothing changes there sustainably, nothing changes here sustainably, and nothing changes there sustainably. No change in beliefs, no change in quality of thinking, no change in actions and behaviors, no change in results. You can see this happen at time to time with sales guys. I used to be a sales guy. In fact, I still am. Very proud to be a sales guy. But, you know, for years, you would have people incentivize sales plan. They'll dangle the carrot. You know, you can earn yourself, your commission's been increased by 35% for the next 2 months. So and on this product, and you go out there and you'll see people's performance improve massively because they're focusing in their thinking mind on this incentive. It's an outside-in approach, nothing wrong with it. But the funny thing is, as soon as that incentive stops, they go back to the medium. They go back to their previous performance. Nothing changes sustainably. Why? Hasn't changed there at the level of beliefs. So, how do we change what happens at the level of our beliefs? Well, let's talk about one of those words, and there are many of them, and I'm going to share a few that are grossly misused, grossly misrepresented, and grossly misunderstood. Okay? One of them, for a start, is leadership. I mean, we do not understand what leadership truly is. We think politicians, we call politicians leaders, for goodness sake. Nothing could be further from the truth. Let's talk about another one. Let's talk about mastermind, that word, massively abused. What most people call a mastermind is a big seminar full of people, or a group of 15, 20, 30 people. A mastermind is a very small, carefully curated group that go through a specific process. Very few, I mean, it's very rare to find a true mastermind. Believe me, I'm a purist. I've been running masterminds for many, many years for entrepreneurs, and I know what a true mastermind is. It comes from Carnegie and Napoleon Hill. So that's another one. Here's another word that is horrifically, probably the most misrepresented, abused, and misunderstood word in the entire personal and organizational development field. It's the word coaching. What most people think is a coach is not a coach at all. Most people think a coach is somebody who gives you advice, gives you directions, gives you the answers. Here's the problem with somebody who gives you advice, a mentor, who's somebody who gives you the answers or gives you some content, is that you don't have to think when somebody does that for you. And to give a person the opportunity to think at a higher level is the greatest gift you'll ever give to another human being next to unconditional love. So here's what happens. Let's first look at the traditional model of learning, okay? Let's look at the traditional model of learning through academia, and all our adult education processes and education follows our traditional academic structure and approach to learning, which is flawed. The premise is this: pile lots of data and information into the conscious mind so you can be impressed on the unconscious, or actually very rarely, mostly it's just actually it's part of the memory in the intellect. The memory is one of the 6 intellectual faculties of the intellect. So it can be regurgitated at some point in the future when a specific question, specific question requires a specific answer. In other words, an exam. Remember those beautiful experiences we called exams? Maybe you excelled in that kind of thing. I'm afraid I had a big pointy hat at school with a big D on it. But anyway, back to this. In comes the data and information. It resides here. And some research a few years ago by, I think it was Stanford University in the US, showed that between 72 and 80, I think it was 84%, in and around that, of knowledge is lost within 4 weeks. Now, let's just put some context to experience of that. Have you ever been on a fantastic training course, or maybe you went to a brilliant seminar, and the facilitator was incredible, you learned tremendous information, and you were all pumped up and you left the training course or the seminar ready to take your sword to the world, ready to put in place the new you, and then about 3 or 4 weeks later, life just went back to normal. Your performance at work was exactly the same as it's always been. Has that ever happened to you? Certainly happened to me. And that's because of this. 72 to 84% of knowledge is lost within 4 weeks. Completely lost. Nothing's changed here at the ultimate cause of the effects. So, again, it's not addressing the knowing-doing gap. You can know a lot of stuff, but it's not what you know. It's what you do that makes the difference in the world. So, how do you, as we talked about earlier, make the unconscious conscious? Remember that quote from Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist, the ultimate quote about what creates success in life. He said, until you make the unconscious, those beliefs, conscious, so you can reflect and evaluate on how they serve you or not. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. Remember, this is in control of your body and the actions and behaviors that your body expresses. It will control your life, and you will call it fate. The vast majority of the human species likes to refer to fate or another unknown force called luck. There is no luck in a universe governed by natural laws, of which the most famous, as Emerson called it, the law of laws, cause and effect, is like every other natural law. It is absolute. There's not a part of life where cause and effect operates and another part of life it doesn't. It is universal in its expression, hence universal natural laws. There's no such thing as luck. We just have effects that we have not yet developed the awareness to understand their causes. Okay? Right. So how do we make the unconscious conscious so that we can change the quality of our thinking, because we've changed the nature of our beliefs, so therefore we can change the quality of our thinking, or we change the quality of our thinking to change the quality of our beliefs. It works that way too. And therefore express an entirely different level of quality of action and behavior to therefore call forth, we're always calling forth, a higher quality of results. More profit with less work, less hassle and fewer headaches. How do we do that? Here's how. A question, a certain kind of question called a coaching question, comes into the conscious mind. instantly and automatically, this part of your personality knows it does not know the answer, so it accesses the unconscious and draws the answer into your consciousness so that you may evaluate it and modify your beliefs as a consequence. It goes around in a circle like this. You're therefore changing at the cause of the effects. It's like T. Harv Eker said, if you want to change the fruits, you have to change the roots. And until that happens, nothing sustainably or substantially can change in your business. That is the ultimate alchemy of life, right there. If you have a growth challenge in your business, if you've reached a ceiling of complexity, the problem is not the business. The problem is your thinking about the business. The problem is your decision-making and choices that it stems from your thinking, and your thinking is ultimately caused by your habitual beliefs, expressing themselves in your habitual thinking that create habitual action and behaviors that create habitual results. That's why you're frustrated, because you're working harder and harder for longer and longer, seeing marginal increases here at best. And the same, it's like Ralph Waldo Emerson said, at what point to make heroic vows of amendment? We're going to triple our profits. We're going to quadruple our profits. We're going to 10x our profits. Of what use to make great vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is to break them? Massive wisdom, massive understanding. What am I giving you here? An inner eye of understanding. Success, your growth challenge, it's an inside-out job. You've got to stop working from the outside in and start working from the inside out. Yes, it's hard work at first. It's why Ford said thinking is the hardest work there is, which is why so few partake in it. But let me ask you the question, what are the consequences of you not doing this? Doesn't bear thinking about, does it? The reason I get so passionate about this is that this is the truth. This is the ultimate cause of every outcome. If you want to know more, as I keep saying, pick up this book, The Ultimate Entrepreneurial Success Strategy. That's what it's all about. It's far more expansive than a 20-minute quick video here, but that's what happens here. It's the question, the quality of question that you ask yourself determines your quality of thinking and determines your quality of actions and behaviors, and consequently your results. Which brings me back to that word coach. If you're working with a coach, and they're giving you answers, giving you advice, sharing experience, sack them. That is not a coach. A coach asks you powerful questions, carefully structured questions, not the kind of questions you'll get on an exam, not the kind of question you hear in everyday language, everyday conversations. A certain kind of question that the conscious mind knows immediately it can't answer. And the whole purpose of that question is to make the unconscious conscious, so you can take control of the process, the creative process that is forever calling forth in your business and life. Let me be very clear, and let me finish off right there. You can ignore this as much as you like, but it does not stop it calling forth. There is no outside force determining your results. It's not about the economy, the marketplace, the harder thinking politicians or any other dimwits like them. It ultimately is driven here. The ultimate cause and effect you are always calling forth. The question is, are you conscious in the act of calling it forth, or are you not? That's the only question you need answering. Remember what Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is the most important work of all in your career. I promise you, with every cell in my being, I promise you, there is no more important work than this. Everybody in entrepreneurial life, or pretty much most people, are aware of the Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle. Certain activities have a disproportionate impact on results than others. Nothing compares to what we're talking about here. If it's all new to you or you're wanting to explore it much further, please pick up a copy of my book. The link will be below this video. It's peanuts to get hold of, and I promise you it will give you an understanding that will differentiate you in your marketplace, differentiate your business, differentiate you in your career for the rest of your days, and it will deliver to you the promise of the entrepreneurial dream of far more wealth, prosperity, and freedom for you and your family to enjoy, because you're working at the ultimate cause of the effect. Really appreciate you watching. I have now gone beyond my 20-minute limit, but I'm hoping that's given you an understanding of how we change things in your inner world to change things on the outer world. It all comes from the inside out. There can be no transformation without a coming to consciousness. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. You'll see the button to do that. It's been a pleasure to serve you with this video. See you soon. Bye for now.